On May 19th, 2015, CD Projekt Red released what many consider to be one of the best role-playing games of all time, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. 5 years later, as we usher in a new console generation, let's explore what made this game a remarkable achievement and a powerhouse in the video game industry. Now before we look at the game itself, it's important to set the stage. The Xbox One and PS4 had been on the market for roughly a year and a half, and while there were some great games for our shiny new consoles, nothing felt truly next gen. Part of this was due to the fact that most games were cross-gen, meaning they launched on PS3 and Xbox 360 as well as PS4 and Xbox One. Even the best games of 2014 like Dragon Age Inquisition and Titanfall were designed with the old tech in mind. Meanwhile, the games made specifically for Xbox One and PS4 felt more like ambitious tech demos than full-fledged games. Or they were just really buggy. CrossGen games are pretty common at the start of a new generation, but there was a dreaded new trend that was starting to become commonplace in AAA games. Microtransactions. Microtransactions were nothing new when it came to mobile games, but they were rapidly popping up in AAA experiences. Microsoft even made it crystal clear that every one of its first-party games for the foreseeable future would have in-game purchases. Fortunately, if Gears Tactics is any indication, they may have eased off that policy. Now you're probably wondering why I'm talking about microtransactions in a video about The Witcher 3, but bear with me. While this was all happening, a modest studio in Poland was hard at work on the final installment of their mature fantasy series. Unlike many of the games released in 2013 and 2014, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was built from the ground up to fully utilize the new consoles. CD Projekt Red wanted to create a world as detailed as it was big, with a lengthy branching narrative that would keep players invested for dozens, if not hundreds of hours. If that wasn't enough, they made it abundantly clear that there would be no microtransactions, and all small DLC packs would be entirely free.
I really think the word DLC is devaluated. There are some DLCs which are like good old expansions, and then I would probably prefer to call them expansions.
Yeah.
If it's a DLC, if it's hairstyle, weapon, armor, horse armor maybe. This should be for free, really.
Although not every AAA game at the time had microtransactions, it was refreshing to see a developer like CD Projekt Red take such a firm stance against in-game purchases. However, none of that would matter if The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt didn't meet fan expectations.
But one soul lies anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags, and wraiths.
On May 19th, 2015, after a couple delays, The Witcher 3 launched on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC to overwhelmingly positive reviews. GameSpot's Kevin VanOrd awarded it a 10, saying excellence abounds at every turn in this open-world role-playing game. Excellent exploration, excellent creature design, excellent combat mechanics, and excellent player progression. Despite The Witcher 3's unprecedented scale, there was still so much care put into the finer details. From the side quests to the optional monster hunts, everything felt weighty and worthwhile thanks to the jaw-dropping presentation and sharp writing. Rarely, if ever, did straying off the beaten path feel like a waste of time. There was always something new to learn and explore. What still impresses me to this day is how complex and well thought out the narrative is. There weren't just good and bad decisions with obvious consequences. Instead, CD Projekt Red went a subtler route. Seemingly small decisions could have big repercussions, both good and bad. No matter what you did, you'd still second guess yourself. The glue that kept everything together, though, were the game's vivid and fantastic characters. Even beyond the core cast, there were so many excellent side characters like the Bloody Baron, Johnny, Lambert, Kira Metz, and so on. Financially, The Witcher 3 was also a huge success, selling over 6 million copies in the first 6 weeks and over 20 million as of 2019. The success didn't go unnoticed either. Many developers have taken inspiration from The Witcher 3, most notably Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed series. Assassin's Creed Origins marked a fresh start for the series, and with that we saw many nods to CD Projekt Red's open-world RPG, such as the quest progression and loot system. The only thing missing was a branching narrative, which appeared in the next game, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The success of The Witcher 3 also had massive repercussions for CD Projekt Red. The team greatly expanded both in headcount and office space, opening a new studio in Poland a few years later. GOG, CD Projekt Red's PC game storefront, took a respectable market share from Steam, putting their DRM policy front and center. And of course, I think it's safe to say that The Witcher 3's success has influenced Cyberpunk 2077's development in some way or another. It's impossible to say exactly what Cyberpunk 2077 would look like had The Witcher 3 flopped, but I'd imagine the final product would be very different. And of course, I'd be willing to bet that if The Witcher 3 wasn't as successful as it was, the Netflix Witcher show probably wouldn't exist. While I do have some qualms with the show, there's no denying the impact it had. Never in my wildest dreams did I think my parents would be chatting about Geralt of Rivia and Cirilla Fiona Ellen Rhiannon around the dinner table, but here we are and I couldn't be happier about it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and let us know what your favorite moments are in The Witcher 3 down below. We'll see you next time.